A cat scratching at my door. I never thought a childish prank would save my brother and me. It started in late September, a few weeks after my cat had died of old age. I missed her terribly and assumed the strange things that were happening were echoes of my grief. When she was alive, she would scratch at my door until I let her into my room. She used the basement as her little home, sometimes hiding there most of the day until she opened the door in the middle of the night. I got so used to it that the sound of little paws upstairs and doors opening no longer scared me. I got so used to it that when the same thing happened after she died, I didn't notice it right away. When I finally did, the sounds were strangely unsettling, yet familiar. I told myself it was just the creaking of an old house, but part of me wanted to believe that the cat was still there in some capacity. One night in October, I was awakened by scratching at my door and a faint meow. It only lasted for a few seconds, but I heard it clearly. I thought it was a dream. It was supposed to be like that. After all, she was gone. But then, it happened again. Every night at 1:46 a.m., I heard scratching at my door and the meowing of a cat who had long since died. I didn't tell anyone about it because, although it scared me, I didn't want to lose what was left of my dear cat. The scratching didn't stop until the night of October 21st, when it became hard to ignore. That night, everything was normal. My parents had gone out for the night and my brother was sleeping downstairs. I watched YouTube until I fell asleep, glued to my laptop screen. When I heard the scratching, I wasn't even scared. It was like any other night. But it didn't stop. The scratching became more and more violent, and the meowing became louder with each swipe of her claws. I had never heard my cat act like this, even when she was alive. I quickly sat up in bed and checked the time. 1:46, as always. The scratching became even louder. It seemed like she could break out through the door at any moment. I got out of bed and slowly opened the door. My heart was pounding. I had no idea what I would see behind that door, but I had to open it. I opened the door one crack, and suddenly it swung open. However, there was nothing behind the door. I felt a strange presence, as if something had entered the room. I didn't know what to do except go back to bed and try to sleep. The next few nights were the same. The scratching was almost deafening until I opened the door to let no one in. It was creepy, but calming. Every time I opened the door, it felt like my cat had come to visit me from beyond the grave. The night I last felt her presence, I will never forget. To this day, it was the most terrifying night of my life. It was Halloween night, and I had just come home early from a party to spend the night with my brother since my parents were away. We had been watching and laughing at Halloween movies from our childhood until midnight. I thought it would be funny to scare him by scratching and meowing, so I told him to sleep in my room that night. I never thought that a childish prank could save my brother and me. I climbed into my bed and he into the sleeping bag next to me. He fell asleep almost immediately and I was barely able to stand with anticipation. Suddenly, light flooded the window. I assumed it was my parents returning from a trip, but something was wrong. The clock struck 1:46. Instead of scratching or meowing, the small door to the basement swung open. A dark figure jumped out and jumped straight at me. I screamed, waking my brother. A dark figure passed through my chest and disappeared behind me. I was left gasping for breath and clutching my hand to my chest. It was not a visit, but a warning. I heard someone trying to get into the house, and without thinking, I grabbed my brother and told him to go to the basement. He was stunned and disoriented, but he did as I said. I followed him and moved a chair in front of the small door and then closed it. I told him to remain completely silent. We heard a loud crash and then footsteps downstairs. Someone had climbed in through the window. I heard the stranger opening all the doors and dragging things around. I felt my face turn white as I heard the stranger start up the stairs. I covered my brother's mouth with my hand and began to silently pray. The stranger stood at the door. My heart was pounding. He swung the door open and walked into the room. I heard him turn over my bed and knock over my nightstand. I thought we were going to die. My brother texted the police in silence, and I just stared at the door, knowing it would open at any second. The stranger knocked over a chair in front of the door. There was only a small door between me and the intruder. My brother and I grabbed the handle to stop it from opening. Then I heard the cat hissing and growling. It seemed like it was right behind us. Finally, the intruder tried to open the door. We held it closed for as long as we could, until the stranger yanked it open with one powerful jerk. Before I could even get a good look at him, a dark figure jumped out from behind us and pounced on him. It all happened so fast that all you could see was the blood flying everywhere. He fell to the floor, crying and holding his disfigured face. The dark figure disappeared into the shadows, and my brother and I ran out the door and down the stairs. We screamed for help in the cold until the neighbors came outside to see what had happened. After a while, the police arrived. It turned out that the stranger was a drug-addicted ex-con who had been breaking into neighborhood homes looking for money. They found him screaming in pain, covering his sunken eyes. The police also found a knife next to him that he had taken from our kitchen. My brother and I were standing in the cold when I saw the faint green glow of my cat's eyes through my bedroom window. That was the last time I saw her.